after just hearing about how you're trying to catalyze change, right, and invest in these people and let everyone know if we could find them, you can find them too. But like, I sort of feel that you're like your team. You guys are like the Jackie Robinson of venture investing, right? You're getting people of color in. You're doing for a lot of these guys, they're going to Latin America, like, right? They're investing in blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? So like, I remember hanging up the phone the first time and like, holy shit, we really need these guys to succeed. Like, we need them to win, and it's just like that. It's like this unfair feeling that like you have no room to fail, which isn't right. And like black founders can't fail because if they fail, it's the only. It doesn't look right for everyone because we represent the race. How are you guys managing and coping with that? And more importantly, like
Yeah,
how are your founders dealing with it?
it's such an interesting point. I mean, the reason W.B. Du Bois and James Baldwin and Jimi Hendrix went to Europe is to get away from the burden of blackness and just have a chance to be writers and artists.
Preach. I hear that.
And you do carry more than your individual self every time you're doing something. Um, and you could call it a burden, but it's more of it's like an obligation. And
Responsibility. Yeah.
and there's a nice part to that because we're confident that these founders exist. And it's a chance to show the world. I mean, the other way I put it often is we're not here to play in the D League. Right? The point is to play in the big games. And so bring on the burden. Let's go. Like, come on. It's fine. We'll deal with it. It's all good. We're happy to try and succeed in public. And the way we get our heads around that every day is we just do the work. And there's no substitute. It's not about going on Twitter and building a brand. It's not, you just find the founders and invest in them. It's like actually a very straightforward job.
Well, you
Find
think
founders.
about it. Listen, but the thing is, when you're cutting like checks that are tens of millions or hundreds of millions or even billions in size, you don't really need a big team to do that. And this is crazy work for you to do because this is $100 million fund, and it's not like you have a large team. Like your team's probably half a dozen or so, right?
Yeah,
This is
that's right.
hard. This is hard work.
Yeah, well, there's another advantage we have. If you were just a random $100 million fund, it is very hard to have a budget to hire that many people.
Hmm.
It is very hard to have any kind of media presence. It is very hard to provide any kind of value once you invest. Fortunately, we don't have any of those problems because I'm working for the fund for free. Several people are working for the fund for free, so to speak. We have a few people who are being paid for by the AUM of the fund, but
Hmm.
it's okay. That's just a small handful. And then we have the media presence because of SoftBank and because of Marcelo. And we have all of this post-investment value creation capability because that's been built for $100 billion fund.
Right.
And so the key is how do you just make that work for the companies? So we can't take board seats on all these companies where we put $100,000 in. What we can do, however, is make sure there's a good partner fund at the table who will do some of that real early stage co-founder type work. Because if you're an early stage investor, you're really kind of a co-founder. We
Yep.
we want other people around the table who are doing that work. And then we'll focus on all the infrastructure that SoftBank provides that could add real tangible value. So product discovery, if you're building this is a real example. There's a company that's building a product for CHROs, for the benefits organizations in companies. We organized a conversation between that founder and a whole lot of CHROs to iterate on product, to find product market fit. Very easy to do because we had access to those CHROs. So that kind of thing, that tangible benefit,
Adding value.
real business connections,
Right.
if we can scale that and make it essentially a service that's available in a fairly low touch way, then we can add value without doing this hand-to-hand combat that a tiny boutique $100 million fund would be doing. So that's the opportunity that we need to figure out how to attack, but it's there for us to figure out.